Good morning, and thank you for coming today. It's always fun when you have a special guest in your home. You clean up everything, you invite all your special relatives and neighbors, and you have a big event. And today's special guest is somebody that we all know and we respect, and we're very proud to have Governor Andrew Cuomo with us here today. Thank you very much. I'm going to briefly go through the list of folks who are here, our elected officials. I'll just recognize them all. No need to stand, and we'll applaud for them at the end. Commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicles, Barbara Fiala. Broome County Executive, Deborah Preston. Chemung County Executive, Tom Santulli. Chairman of the Broome County Legislature, Jerry Marinich. Broome County Legislator, Tony Fiala. Broome County Legislator, Scott Baker. Broome County Legislator, Kelly Wildener. Town of Vestal Supervisor, John Schaefer. Town of Union Supervisor, Rose Sotak. Mayor of the City of Norwich, Joe Marino. And the President of Broome Community College, now SUNY Broome Community College, Kevin Drum. Thank you all for being here today. About 2 years ago, when the governor started working closely with SUNY campuses, I was actually at Buffalo, University of Buffalo, and was watching the unfolding of the SUNY 2020 legislation and the challenge grants. And at that moment, we recognized that the governor had big plans for the SUNY campuses and our role in the state of New York's future economy. And so the movement of that SUNY 2020 proposal grant process, where Binghamton finally participated, I know Albany is now involved, Stony Brook and Buffalo, as well as all the comprehensive campuses and the community colleges now are participating in that, was a sign that he had plans for the university system to have a bigger role in economic development. And we want to thank the governor for giving us that opportunity. We already know that we're a great educational system. We're the largest educational system in the world, and we are one of the greatest in this nation. And we are waiting for this new opportunity that the governor will discuss today. But even before today's opportunity, he's already made steps to involve the State University of New York, as well as the private colleges and campuses through the Regional Economic Development Councils. If you look at the leadership of those REDC councils, you'll see presidents of universities, both small and large, public and private, Clarkson, Syracuse, Hofstra, Rochester, Buffalo, and Binghamton. And he's chosen those people not because most of us work for him as state employees, but he chose them because he knows we have a huge opportunity as well as an already very large impact on the state of New York's economy. And since then, he's also added some new features. He has the innovation hotspots that he announced in his 2013 State of the State address, and is also working on a venture capital fund that will help build businesses from university ideas. And the newest, and this is a big one, is the tax-free New York proposal. And I am proud and pleased to have him come here to Binghamton University. I think it's the first time on campus as governor to Binghamton University's campus to tell us about this exciting proposal, and we're looking forward to helping you, Governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here at Binghamton University. Pleasure to be with President Stanger, who is just doing a really, truly outstanding job. I was with a group of SUNY officials last week, and we were talking about the system and some of the great talent that's in the SUNY system. And they were all bragging on your president, President Stanger, who has done a magnificent job, and I believe is going to do even greater things for the university and for the state. Let's give him a round of applause, President Stanger. To all the elected officials who are here, County Executive Preston, County Executive Santulli, Jerry Marinich, pleasure to be with you. Former elected officials who I stole from the region and brought to Albany. My great DMV Commissioner, Barbara Fiala, who's here now. Former County Executive, Tony Fiala, of the Fiala family. It's a pleasure to be with so many friends, pleasure to be with you. I'm excited about the proposal you're going to hear today, and there's a certain rhythm and logic to it. I've been governor for about 2.5 years, and we've made very good progress over the past 2.5 years, and the state is in a much different place than it was 2.5 years ago. We brought a different approach. We got the government in Albany working again. We actually passed 3 budgets on time, which doesn't sound like much, you know, pass the budget on time. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do. We just never did it, but that's what you were supposed to do. The budget mess in Albany used to be the sort of snapshot for the entire dysfunction of the system. You know, you used to watch it every year. About a week before the budget deadline, the April 1 deadline, they'd start to run newscasts. Will Albany make the budget deadline this year? And they'd have like that countdown, day 4, down day 3, down day 2. And everyone, they'd use the same line. We're cautiously optimistic that we're going to make it this year. And then the deadline would come and go, and then it would be 1 month late and 2 months late. And I used to watch that, and I used to say, you know, it's terrible. The government can't get the budget done on time. It was a sense of the hopelessness of the situation and the arrogance of the situation. You know, if you don't pay your taxes on time, you can't just do a little note to the state tax department that says, well, you know, we couldn't agree at my kitchen table on what we should pay, so we decided not to pay yet. You know, and that was the government. So for many years, it didn't work. And we tried a different approach over the past couple of years with this legislature. We had a very frank conversation when we started, and we said, look, we're Democrats, we're Republicans, we're from upstate, we're from downstate, but we have to leave the politics at the door, and we have to change the focus, and we have to make this about doing the people's business and doing the right thing for the state and not what's political. Because Democrats, Republicans, we're New Yorkers first. And that has to be the orientation, that we're New Yorkers and do what's right for the state. And credit to the state legislature. They're not here today. They're working in Albany just as fine. That's what they did. That's what they did. And that is the truth without them in the room. They put the politics aside, and that's why you haven't seen the gridlock in Albany. You haven't seen the partisanship in Albany. And kudos to them, because the government is working. We also took a much different approach where we said, look, most of the issues that have to be dealt with can't be dealt with from Albany anyway. You take the economic issues, which we're going to talk about today. They talk about the state's economy. There is no state's economy. There are different regions in this state, and there are different economies in this state depending on the region. New York City is one economy. Western New York is a different economy. The North Country is a different economy. The Southern Tier is a different economy. And one can be doing great and can be going gangbusters, and it has nothing to do with the other ones. So the way to really deal with the problem is you can't do it from Albany because there is no one-size-fits-all. You have to do it region by region across the state. And really, the people in that region are the people who are going to have to do it. And the best thing the state government can do is partner with that region and give them the tools and the resources they need to design their own plan. It was a much, much different way of doing business in Albany. And it's working, and it has been working, and we have results. But now we want to take it to the next level. There's about 3 or 4 weeks left in the legislative session. And I made a proposal to them the other day that I believe can really change the trajectory of the state. And they're considering it, and I want them to consider it, and I'd really like to get it passed this year because I think it can do great things. The way I've learned about how to pass a bill in Albany is totally opposite what they teach us in high school civics course. In high school, they taught us that the elected officials lead and the people follow. I think it works the other way around. The way I do it is I go to the people of the state and I lay out an idea and I say, if this makes sense to you, I would like your support. And please tell your legislators. And if the people support it, the legislators will follow. The legislators will pass it. So I want to present this to you. If you think it makes sense, I would ask you for your support. But let me go through the proposal with you if I can. The number one mission for the state government is to get the economy running. Why? Because if I can get the economy running and the economy is improved, so much works from that. If the economy is running, people are working, there's local taxes are being paid, the county executive can pay his bills or her bills, the mayor can pay their bills. If people know there are jobs, people are staying. If there are jobs, people are moving into the community. And if there aren't, it's the exact opposite. So that is the single best focus, because it's all about creating jobs. Now, the upstate economy is not doing well, and we have to be painfully honest about this. It hasn't been doing well for a long, long time. This is not a 1 year, 2 year problem. This is not the economic downturn in 2007 problem. This has gone on for decades. In truth, upstate New York has never recovered from the loss of manufacturing. I was in Buffalo last week, and somebody said, we've had a bad 50 years. And it was tongue-in-cheek, but you know what? It's true. The steel mills closed 50 years ago. And the state and upstate New York has never really recovered. And it's been a slow loss since then. Slow loss of business, slow loss of people. But it's important to recognize and be honest about the depth of the problem, because I believe you're never going to solve the problem in life that you deny. You're never going to solve a problem you don't understand. And we have to be honest that we're not dealing with a 5 or 10 year problem. We're dealing with a 20 or 30 year chronic fundamental issue. What we've been doing over the past 2 years is a two-step approach. First, you have to do something about the reputation of New York as a high-tax state and an anti-business state. And it's not just a reputation, and it's not just a perception, it's the reality. We are a high-tax state. It is a reality. Our taxes are too high. And whether we're 49th out of 50, or 48 out of 50, or 47 out of 50, all of these are bad numbers. What we've been saying is true. People are more mobile, and businesses are more mobile. And every day they get more and more mobile. And they will go to a lower tax environment. And they have been for 20 years, and that's why we are where we are. So what do? It's not a perception problem, it's a reality problem. Lower the taxes. And that's what we've been doing for 2.5 years, even though we've had a bad economy. We passed the first property tax cap ever. Why? Because the property tax cap is the most onerous tax in this state. It's worse than the income tax. The property taxes go up, people are imprisoned in their homes. You can't sell the home because you can't pay the mortgage, but you can't afford the property taxes to stay in the house. We reduced taxes on the middle class to the lowest rate in 60 years. Now that is so incredible that people don't even believe it when I say it. It is true. The lowest tax rate in 60 years. No adjustments for inflation, nothing. Just the lowest rate in 60 years. We limited the state spending to 2%. So we're doing everything we can to reduce taxes. That's step one. Step two is investing in the regional economies and getting those regional economies to be partnerships between government and the private sector, getting the academic universities to be part of that partnership, and working with those regions to develop jobs and giving them everything they need to develop those jobs. So we invested in SUNY with the SUNY 2020 system. We have a New York Open for Business campaign. Maybe you saw the ads telling people to bring New York business back. We have business incubators, a venture capital fund, giving the local regional coalitions the tools they need to build their regional economies. That's what we've been doing. And it's been working, and we are making progress. And it's only been 2 years, but we have anecdotal success all across the state. We just got the latest unemployment numbers. which are the best numbers we've had since 2009. So that's good news. But are we out of the woods yet? No. And have we fundamentally changed the trajectory? No. What we want to do now is we know the approach is working. We have the credibility of the past 2 years under our belt. They say you have to walk before you run. Well, we walked. But now we want to bring this approach to scale and bring all the pieces together because, as I started by saying, this is a big problem. It's gone on for decades, and it's going to take a big solution. And what we want to do is this: take that idea of New York as a high-tax state and just explode it once and for all and just shatter it. And we're proposing a new program called New York Tax-Free, which would create 100% tax-free communities located all across the state, primarily in upstate New York. Now, the tax-free program is built on a couple of premises facts. First fact, the new economy is growing from higher education. You look at where the jobs are being generated anywhere in this country, anywhere on this planet, they're coming out of the academic universities. They're the new 28-year-old who develops the new chip, the new cell phone, the new application. That's where the jobs are being created. They're coming out of the university system. It's a fact that the old adage that you're either a businessman or an academic, that's gone. And there's a positive synergy now between academia and entrepreneurial activity. And the schools that are creating the new patents and the new copyrights, they're actually creating new jobs. And that's happening all across the country. Fact, New York State has some of the best schools in the nation, public and private. Our schools are second to none in the country. There's a fact, we are generating the jobs now in the state. Why? Because we have the schools, we have the students, we have the talent, we're creating the jobs. But what's happening is we lose 75% of the jobs we create within the first year. Think about that. You lose 75% of the jobs you create. Because what happens is they're new businesses, and they're mobile, and they say, we don't want to stay in New York because New York is anti-business. We're going to move to Florida. We're going to move to Texas. We're going to move to Austin. Or an investor comes in and invests in the new business, and the investor says, I'm moving you from New York because long-term, New York is not a place for you to stay and do business. Fact, businesses and entrepreneurial activity are attracted to lower taxed communities. We are in a competition with every other state. Businesses can pick up and move, and they are moving to states that have lower taxes and no taxes. We have no tax states that call our businesses all day long and say, we ran the numbers. If you move to our state, you can save $800,000 per year. We ran the numbers. If you move to our state from New York, you can save $2 million a year. And we'll move you down, and we'll pay your moving expenses, and we'll find a new parcel of land for you. It's a competition. And they are winning the competition every day. You move the job, you wind up moving the person. And that is what's been going on for 20 years. Fact, the reason businesses are leaving, the reason they give is taxes, 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 and the reason they won't move into the state is the same. Fact, upstate economy is different than the downstate economy and needs special attention. For many years, we missed what was going on in upstate New York. Because for many years, we talked about the New York State economy, which was dominated by the New York City region. And downstate has been doing just fine, thank you, when it comes to the economy. They've had little ups and downs, but the line has been straight up. And that has eclipsed what has been happening in upstate New York, where the line was going straight down. And this is bringing attention on that duality. The upstate job growth numbers are staggering. The upstate job growth doesn't just lag New York City. It lags the country. Upstate, 5% job growth over the past 10 years. New York State, double that. New York City, triple that. The rest of the country, almost double the upstate job growth. That is a damning set of numbers. So you put all the facts together, and what do you come up with? The sweet spot, the target spot, would be where entrepreneurial activity meets academic activity in a regional economic context, in a tax-free environment that is created in upstate New York. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to promote entrepreneurship and job creation on tax-free communities and focus on the upstate economy. We want to use our SUNY campus system for the framework for entrepreneurial tax-free communities. What do you mean by tax-free? I mean tax-free. No games, no gimmicks, 100% tax-free. No business tax, no sales tax, no property tax, no income tax in the state of New York for 10 years. That is a significant package that would make a big, big difference. What do we mean by community? What do we mean by community? We mean using the SUNY campuses, the land that SUNY now has, plus 200,000 square feet adjoining a campus as a tax-free area. Eligible companies are companies that create new jobs, companies that move from out of state, companies that are startups on the campus, or any company that starts new jobs. This is not about transferring existing jobs. It's not a sham to move jobs down the block. It's about creating new jobs in the state. The eligible area, all 64 campuses. 64 campuses of SUNY, 55 of the 64 campuses are in upstate New York. And that's why this is a proposal that will go to upstate New York primarily. We also want the private schools to participate, and we have 3 million square feet set aside as a pool for private universities to compete in, plus 20 spots for strategically located parcels. These could be former state prison facilities, large-scale facilities that we're trying to retrofit. The eligible space comes out to 120 million square feet. Is 120 million square feet a large space or a small space? Well, 120 million square feet is larger than the commercial space in San Francisco and Philadelphia combined. It is larger than the total office space in the city of Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse combined. So, my friends, this is not a boutique approach. This is a large-scale, massive economic transformation for upstate New York that I believe fundamentally shifts the trajectory of the economy. When you use the SUNY campus, 93% of the entire state lives within 15 miles of a SUNY campus. So it's proximate to everyone. It builds on everything that we've been doing for 2.5 years, everything that's been working. All the strategic points that we've been following fit exactly into this model, plus you now have a tax-free template to deploy all these tools and programs. It takes everything we've been doing, but it brings it to a statewide scale, and it brings it to a critical mass where you can make a fundamental difference. Now, it is a big change for New York, and change is hard. Change is hard in general. Change is hard in our own lives. Change is especially hard on an organizational level, and big change is frightening. But this is a state that was born from big ideas. We come from people and generation who followed their dreams and followed big ideas. Nobody came to New York who was faint of heart. Nobody got in a boat and crossed an ocean and went to a land that they had never been to before who was faint of heart. We come from people who take risks. We come from people who dream big and act bold. And we built a state on bold. We built that Erie Canal. Just think of it. Built the whole state. Some people said it was a folly to go forward with such a grand idea. But that's who we are and that's where we come from. And that's what the times demand. We have big problems. And it's going to require a big solution if we're going to make a difference. But if we put together a tax-free environment and the state of New York, that is a winning competition. If we go out there and we can say we have all the beauty and all the assets of New York, and we have zero tax communities, that will sell itself all day long. And that's what the New York tax-free program is all about. In short, we know the problem, and we know it's been going on for decades. During the manufacturing shift, we started to lose jobs. We started to lose people. We've continued to lose people. We've lost population. At the same time, the amount of government and the cost of government has been growing, and we have fewer and fewer people paying for more and more government. We have more people leaving, more jobs leaving, and the taxes on the people who remain have been going up because we have fewer and fewer people to pay for the cost of government. And the government costs are only going up. We've been doing that for 20 years. And we haven't been competitive. Why? Because we made ourselves non-competitive. We made ourselves non-competitive. It's not that people wanted to leave. I've talked to dozens of people who were getting ready to leave, who left. I've never talked to a person who said, I want to leave my home. I want to leave upstate New York. I don't like Binghamton. I don't like Buffalo. I don't like Syracuse. Not a one. They didn't leave because they wanted to leave. We chased them from upstate New York. They were forced to leave. They didn't have an option. They didn't have an alternative. There was no job here. They couldn't afford the property taxes here. They couldn't afford the income taxes here. They had to move. They didn't want to move. Who could want to move from New York State? Who could want to move from upstate New York? I spent 8 years, I worked in Washington during the Clinton administration. I worked in every state in the nation, literally. Most states I was in more than 10 times. I've seen everything else out there. I know how their economies work. I know their destinations, their landmarks. I've seen them. What we have here makes them pale in comparison to what we have in this state. Nobody has this. Nobody has this geography, this diversity, this history. Nobody has what we have in New York. Nobody wanted to leave. What we did made them leave. And it was about the taxes and the regulations that drove out the businesses. So the solution is change it. Fix it. Because you can. Because we created the problem in the first place, we can create the solution. And start with this. It is that simple. If you say to businesses and people, you come to this state and you pay zero tax, we are as competitive as any state in this nation when it comes to taxes. No state can be lower than we are because we're at zero. And you get to live in the state of New York. You don't have to go to that state. That's a winning combination. It will work. It will work because it's right and it's truthful. This was the truth 20 years ago. And we should have done this 20 years ago. But it's not too late to do it now. But we have to do it. And I need you. I need you. I need you to pick up the phone. I need you to send an email. I need you to call your senator and call your assemblyman and say, we need this passed. I know it's only about upstate New York, but upstate New York matters. And upstate New York counts. And this is an economic proposal geared to upstate New York, and that's where this state needs help, in upstate New York. By the way, it also works for downstate New York. This is what I say to the downstate legislators when they say, well, this all goes to upstate New York. What's in it for downstate, for my district? I'll tell you what's in it. This is one state when it comes to balancing the budget. And if upstate New York isn't making money, then downstate New York is going to have to subsidize upstate New York, because we're one balance sheet at the end of the day. So economically it makes sense, and morally it makes sense. But you have to make your voice heard. If you speak, the politicians will listen. If the politicians listen, we pass this proposal, we're going to make this state a better state. Thank you, and God bless you.